Logan has 4 wins on the Outlaws. How many wins you had around here before you left?
4-10 wins, I believe 7.
7? One thing we have tonight, hold that third shirt up over there, Jess, the blue one. This is a raffle prize. You ain't gonna get this anywhere. This came from Cedar Lakes, July 8th, 2016. You know who the winner was that night? First time he ever won. So that is a door prize there tonight. So how do you like that?
That's pretty cool.
So, and you got yours at Susky?
Yep.
Yep. Held off Lance.
Yep.
So that was a good day, huh?
Pretty good day. Yeah, I was pretty happy.
So, you got 4 outlaw wins now. Friday night I was in the kitchen and my wife was sleeping and I'm going, go. So, welcome. Thank you for coming. I know you got a hectic schedule. I appreciate it very much. Does anyone have any questions for these gentlemen?
Are you still having fun?
Friday was fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, they're all fun. There's a lot of ups and downs to it. I mean, you can't. I'm always grateful. I get to do what I love. It's what I've wanted to do since I was a little kid. I get to travel up and down the road with my grandfather. I have a lot of family that comes out when we're home and to big events that supports me, and you know they're the really cool parts. And just to race, you know, I've always wanted to drive a race car, and just to get to drive a race car, you know, that's something as a little kid I never knew that I was even going to get the chance to do at all, let alone be on the Outlaw Tour, and been doing it for since I was about 17 years old. So there's definitely a lot of fun to it. It's hard being away for so long. There's some downs. You know, you're on the road a lot. You're staying at hotels, and it's a lot of work. It's, you know, lots of times it's been just Jacob and I and my grandfather, and we have Jonathan White and Junior Cease. Or Joseph Cease that's helped us since last year, Jake Ranzani last year, and I can tell you that our crew guys get a lot more done and have worked way harder than what any other crew guy in the pit area has on the World Outlaw Tour. And our team in general, we've worked very hard to get to where we're at, and it all starts with my grandfather. He's still at 73 years old. Has a very big drive to win races, and that's all he really knows. So it starts with him, but we're still having fun, yeah.
There's a neat little video out there. What's that video on? What's that video on?
Dirt Collective.
Dirt Collection.
Dirt Collective.
Yeah, they're collective.
Yeah.
Dirt Life Episode 3.
Yeah, it's a very neat video. I tried to get it playing on our 1960 TV up here tonight, but it ain't gonna work. So. But if you get a chance to check it out, it's a very neat video. It's about 3 minutes about the team.
With you taking 2 cars, do you have room for a spare car for either one of you? Or?
Yeah, we got in our new trailer we got 3 complete cars, and then we got just like 1 frame. So we got 4 cars that we could have, but we can only have 3 complete cars.
Actually, the race that we won in California this year, that was put up top, and I ran a different car at Eldora this past weekend. So actually, they've never been crashed. So the car that's up top, I'm actually going to run tomorrow at Lincoln, has 2 wins, and then the car that I won at Eldora has the Port Royal win and then the Eldora win on it. So
Tell us about the trailer over the winter.
Yeah, it was quite the project, really.
Something I don't know if everyone knows about the trailer.
Yeah, we built our trailer from the ground up. It's pretty sweet looking. It looks super nice, and doesn't leak water all over the place, so that's really nice. And yeah, that sucked. But yeah, it was a lot of hard work. Pretty much started off with a bunch of metal laying on the shop floor and this old metal cutter, and we cut them up to whatever Joey told us to cut them up to. And then pretty much it started from there. Just some guys that came around, you know, after work or had a day off, they'd come out there and give us a hand. And thankfully it didn't snow like at all really when we were home, and it was pretty warm, so we got a lot done. one kid sliced his face off. That's helping us out. So he put his heart and soul into it, and it was just really cool. It's really nice trailer, and there's a lot of time and a lot of heart into it, and it does the job very well. And it gets, but like before, I had to take my wing off to get my car in there. Now I can put my wing on and a right rear on to get my car in, and we both can do that. And we got 4 motors in there, and we didn't have before we'd have 2 chassis bare up top, and now we got a complete car up top, and we have the bare chassis, and we have tons of top wings and tons of front wings. So it's pretty much a mobile shop, and it's pretty legit.
Any questions out there?
Is there one specific thing that's the toughest thing being out on the road, or is it just a combination of everything?
I'd say it's this time of the year when you start racing 3-4 times a week, and you're this week we come home, but I might go home to sleep in my bed. That's about it. And once you leave, and especially this last weekend, we raced 3 days in a row, and you're outside in the sun all day working, and you race, and you don't pack the cars away until midnight, 1 o'clock, and then you got to get up at 8, 9 and start working on them again to get them ready the next day. So you do that 3-4 days in a row, it wears you out, and it's a full-time job. It takes a lot of work, and just the grind of going up and down the road all the time. I'd say that's the biggest part.
Yeah, I think the Outlaw Tour is pretty tough, racing with those guys all the time. They're super good race car drivers. So for me, for an instance, I start up front in a race, start like 6th or something, and I go in this corner and mess up one time, and I'm sitting 17th now. So that kind of stuff's pretty stressful and pretty hard. And then, the up and down the road stuff's hard, but that's our job, and we love doing it. So it's just part of the game. But I think the competition's probably the toughest part, in my opinion, just because no matter where you go, and you get all these different tracks and different surfaces. So one year you go there, it's this surface, but the next year it's this surface. And just everybody, we've been out there with these guys, and they're so good. And then the competition, like Indiana or here in PA or Ohio, those guys keep getting better and they improve. So it's a tough game. It's not easy at all, and I love it, but it can make me pretty mad sometimes, and but we keep plugging away, and I'm thankful I got a dad and Logan who don't give up, and they always have pretty positive attitude on things. So that means a lot to me, because I can be pretty hard on myself sometimes. So to have those guys to keep keep your head up, keep plugging away like that goes a long way.
Have you ever wanted to just say, screw this, I'm going home?
Yes, I've said it quite a few times, but I've contemplated being a trash man, a janitor. Yeah, I've said it quite a few times. So, but I wouldn't do that. There's no way. I mean, I went to a race in New York when we rained out all week, just a couple weeks ago, and I was watching the sprint cars go around there, and just to sit in the stands and watch them. It's pretty sad, you just want to be out there racing. So no matter what happens on the track, if you have a good night, because there's gonna be a lot more bad nights than good nights, I can tell you that. Unless you're Donnie Schatz, he has a lot of really good nights. And so you just keep plugging away. I mean, I don't really see what else I'd be doing or have more fun doing or love doing other than racing and being with this team. That's all really where I want to be at.
How about you, Logan? You ever say?
I'd say definitely in the first couple of years, or even when I first started racing around here, we'd have good runs, and then the Outlaws would come in town, and I wouldn't make the show. So it's definitely going through your head, but I'd say it takes about, I'd sit there for 10 seconds and, what if I can't do this, or what if I got to do something else? What would I do? And if when I'm 60 years old, would I be happy with myself? And it's a quick answer of no. So this is what I wanted to do since I was a little kid, and I'm lucky to have my grandfather there, Jacob, and everybody that you know stands behind us and keeps us going. But it all starts with us. We're at the top, and we you know that those vibes will trickle down, and you got to have a positive attitude. And if I don't quit working and I work hard to where I want to be, those people will stand behind you. So that's what we're about, and that's what we keep doing.
Who are your sponsors?
Marty Thompson Investments is a good friend of my grandfather. It's been around since he's raced for a long time. Pell's Tire Service, C&B Mushroom Farms helps a lot of people around here. Newman's Towing, which is my uncle, and his son Michael builds our engines, got into it the last couple of years, and he does a very good job. I'd say our engines are, most of them are pretty old. We've built one or two in the last couple of years that still I wouldn't say are, you know, capable, you know, have as much power as what the KKR teams or some of those guys have. But we don't think you need all that power on some of those racetracks. We feel why Donnie and even Lance around here, the type of motors that they have for the racetrack fits the racetrack. And there's lots of times you'll see guys that will qualify at certain racetracks and it'll be quick time and they start up front in the feature and go straight backwards. And the guys that qualified 5th through 10th are the ones who win the race. So, you know, neither of us have had a fast time, you know, quick time this year, but we won 2 races because it doesn't pay anything. The races are what pay. So, Michael Newman does a great job, and Triple X, FK Shocks, they help us out a lot. DMI from this area, they've helped us out a lot the last couple of years, and Suburban Visuals from Wisconsin, up around Marty Thompson, they do our decals, and we have a lot of little people. Mike Palumbo, we have a lot of little people that help us out.
You?
You pretty much nailed them all right there, yeah. yeah, everything I mean, it's a package. There's nobody that I can think of, but I'm 99% sure everybody that helps out Logan helps out me. So it's pretty good deal that people care about us and want to help us both out like that. You know, it means a lot. It goes a long way for our team.
You got a new mascot. You want to tell them about your new mascot?
Yeah, Bubba's outside. We got a bulldog. That's our new mascot. So I got him sitting there next to the DMI rear the other day. He's a cool dog. He's my buddy.
Any questions out there?
Who does your motor program?
Newman's Racing Engines. Newman's Towing is one of our sponsors, and his son, family member who does our engines. He's right there by our shop, basically.
We've also had a lot of help from Donna. Michael has done our motors, and he's kind of learned. Donna's helped us since we started racing, and him and Michael have worked together the last couple of years, and Don's really helped us out also, along with Charlie Garrett to give advice. And we're lucky. That's one of the things you come back to Pennsylvania is all the manufacturers and engine builders and Pennsylvania people and Pennsylvania fans are really lucky to have is all the racetracks that we have here and all the people that participate in racing and kind of keep it all together here. It's really cool.
Go ahead.
Is this area as stiff as competition you guys have?
I'd say it's when you go to Ohio and California, there's it's different. It depends where you go. I'd say the Ohio guys are good. These Lance, you know, Dietrich, Hodnett, those guys around here, they know this racetrack and they raced on it and they're outlaw capable drivers. And it's kind of like that when you go to Ohio and California. But I'd say the Outlaws win in Ohio and California more than what they do here. I'd say it's more of an even race in Pennsylvania more
That's
than
why they
anywhere
call it
else.
tossing, huh?
That's right.
For both of
Thank
you,
you.
racetrack you love, racetrack you hate.
Hopstock, hate it. But probably my 2 favorite is Peevely, Missouri, where they run the Ironman. That's super cool track. And River City's out in Dakota's little tiny bull ring, super cool, a lot of fun. But Williams Grove's super fun if you're doing good, and same with outdoor. There's actually tons of really good tracks out there that could easily be your favorite. But I'd say Peevely and River Cities would be on top of my list.
Logan?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with a lot of that. I like Peevely. If you're a race fan and you want to ever go to the Knoxville Nationals, it's the weekend before, and it's an awesome event. It's really cool. You can start dead last there and probably win the race. So it's really cool, and you have a lot of laps to do it. I like Cedar Lake and Eldora. I like Port Royal. I mean, you're gonna like tracks that you win at, and I have to agree with Hobstock. That's we went from winning on Friday and having a good weekend at Eldora to Sunday, Hobstock, Indiana. Both of us barely made the race, and that's one of those moments where you're talking about there. If you didn't win on Friday or Saturday, and you go to a place like Hobstock and you barely make the show, it puts you down, and it's hard. But that it's not my favorite track, but at the same time, I want to go back there because I don't like that it's got the best of us, and I feel like we're capable of doing a lot better. So I want to go back there, and I feel like we can run good there in the future. You just have to figure it out, and that's part of the game.
Any questions out there? Well, these guys are getting it easy. One back here.
Which one of you guys is gonna win tomorrow night?
I guess whoever finishes first.
Brandon?
What's the camaraderie out on the road? You know, is there some teams that you travel with that are a little bit more standoffish, some that might help you out a little bit more?
Yeah, I'd say they're all pretty good. They'll especially, and you'll see them come together. If a car crashes on the racetrack and knocks the front end out of it, it's one of the coolest things to see is when a car comes in on a tow hook. You'll see each and every team. I haven't seen one that's going to stand out. They'll all help and try and put you back on. There's definitely some that are more secretive that if you even get close to their trailer, setup book's going to be closed quick. So, but I'd say they're all. I mean, they're not going to want you looking at their car either, but they're all good guys, and we travel with Clyde Knipp a lot. They're our friends, and Clyde hasn't ran the best in his first year, but we feel the same about him as we do about us. You know, he might not have the results, but Clyde works really hard, so I feel like he'll get to where he wants, and that's one thing my grandfather's always taught us and the rest of my family. You know, my parents have always been good about that. Is you stay positive and you work hard for something. You know, those the results will come, and if you want something bad enough, you can get it. So that's and I believe that.
Did you see that? This is Logan. Did you see that this past week? Someone wrote on Facebook. Why doesn't somebody pick Logan up to run for him? And I wrote back. I said, well, that's ignorant. Just because of their budget, look what they're doing. They're a family thing. They're enjoying what they're doing together.
Yeah, I've been.
I don't do that.
Yeah, I've been asked in the past, and I feel like when I first started racing, obviously, if we, dominated for somehow that my grandfather told me, if somebody offers you, you need to do it. You need to go. You need to take that opportunity because, especially when we first started, we really are a little team, and it's amazing of how much we built up our team. And I remember when we got our first 358 together, it was one car in the shop. We might have had one or two wheels and two left rears, and just the shocks and the bars that we had in the car. So, and the more we won and the more people helped us out, we just slowly built on top of that. And like Jake said, we have 4 to 6 motors in our trailer that we built this past year, and they didn't all come at one time. They were built from winning races and making money, and that next Monday, my grandfather ordered a crank from somebody, ordered pistons, and just slowly built on top of that. So, and at this point in time, I wouldn't leave my grandfather. It's going to be hard to talk about, but my grandfather means a lot to us, and he's done a lot for me. He's done a lot for this sport, so I wouldn't be able to do that to him. And I really enjoy racing with my grandfather. I want to win those big races with him, and the rest of my family by my side.
Any other questions?
Is Bobby like the last word on setups and all that kind of stuff?
I'd say he is. He's the owner, so you're not going to tell him no. But what actually really helped me out in the last couple of years, the first 2 years, and especially when we raced at home in Pennsylvania, we had a lot of people that helped us out. We'd probably have 7, 8 guys that come to the race shop, and as much as I'm trying to work on the car and learn things about it, when there's 7, 8 people that are working on it, I'm kind of standing there trying to figure it out, but when I go to do something, you kind of get pushed out of the way. And the first year on the road, I learned a lot about working on them. Jacob and I both learned a lot about working on them and what it took for maintenance and to not fall out of races. And I'd say it was about the second or third year. And like I said, when we raced at home, I'd come in off the track and I'd say, hey, the car was loose or tight or it felt this way, and he'd go back and make adjustments. And I'd ask him what he did and why, but you don't learn that much that way. And it got to about the second year racing with the Outlaws, and I'd come in and, hey, I don't feel good. This wasn't good, and he'd be like, all right, we'll figure it out, and he'd walk away. And I'm kind of like, what? So, and 20, 21 years old, that kind of sucks, but now I'm glad he did it because I learned a lot more about the race cars and what they do and how to fix it when I don't feel good.
Any other questions?
I want to touch on that question. When you go to these tracks, do you two have like similar setups, or is it like completely different between you two?
Well, we feel the best way to, because there's times when I'll go out and I'm not good and Jacob's really fast, or the complete opposite. And Jacob and the last, I'd say, year and a half, Jacob and my grandfather really worked together. And as far as, I'd say the bars and the shocks and the more simpler setup stuff, he'll kind of let me do my own thing. And as far as some of the other physics of the race car, that's kind of his decision, but we'll bounce ideas off each other. Now he's not more of when I have something to say or I want to talk to him about something or get his opinion on something. Now he'll kind of talk to me about it, and he doesn't just walk away anymore. But I'd say we'll try different things to try and learn more. I feel like if one thing's not going good, then we can bounce the idea off the other.
I remember one night at the Grove, it was a national open. You were chasing Jason Myers. Remember that night?
I do.
Running second.
That night.
Yep. The wing, I guess the slider broke on you, and you wouldn't go
remember
back
that.
any further.
Yeah, I still think about that race a lot
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I believe now I'd win that race, but
I
that's
believe,
easy to say
I believe
now.
if the wing would have went back, I believe you would have had him.
That was a lot to take in as I was 18 years old and hop in a fourth time. I ran one race at Selinsgrove. It was the night before or the weekend before, and we're running really good, and I think an engine blew up. And then our second race was at Williams Grove for the National Open, and grandfather's known for that. I got the first time I ever ran a 358. I didn't get any warm-ups or nothing. Kind of just threw it out on the track and said, go race it. So, and then the first 410 race, the second 410 race I ever ran was at Williams Grove with the Outlaws. So, then again, like I said, I didn't know much about the cars. We basically just went out and raced, and there we are out in front of the World Outlaw event, running down I think at that time, Jason Myers was he's a past champion.
Yeah, he was the champion, yep.
I think he won about 4 or 5 races in a row at Williams Grove. So, and I didn't think of it like that. When you're racing, you don't think of which car's in front of you or who it is, and you might see them, but your adrenaline's going. You're just thinking about racing. So, it wasn't until afterwards where you really realize, what was going on and how it was. But I do feel now that we would win that race, and especially with the experience and everything that we have. That's easy to say.
Question back there?
I believe that night the whole grandstand at Williams Grove exhaled.
I'm not kidding you. That was the only time I've ever heard a crowd in a car, and it actually scared me. When I ran down Jason Myers and passed him going into 1 and 2, And I came down the backstretch, we were, the backstretch grandstands and Beer Hill Gang, all them guys, and it sounded like the motor changed pitch or something. And I thought, what the hell is that? But it was pretty awesome afterwards when I realized what it was and how cool it was, because even then, and as a little kid, as going to the races, I never understood the posse and the Outlaws thing and what goes on between it, because I remember being 10, 11 years old and going to Lincoln or Williams Grove, and Fred Raymer would be going around there winning, and everybody would boo him so bad. And the next week I'd go to Williams Grove for an Outlaw show, and I'd watch him win, and everybody's cheering. So I was like, what is going on?
How old are you now, Logan?
24.
24. Do you have any inspiration to ever go to like NASCAR or anything like that?
Not really. If somebody asked, it'd be hard to turn it down, but I enjoy racing sprint cars. Sprint cars is all I know, and I feel like I can make a decent living racing sprint cars. I want to do the best I can. I want to win World Outlaw Championships. I want to win Knoxville, and that's what means a lot to me. My family's never won the King's Royal. I want to win the King's Royal, and that's what means a lot to me. I don't think I could deal with that kind of stuff that NASCAR drivers deal with. I get along great with Tony Stewart. I look up to him a lot, and I think what pushed him away from NASCAR is all the politics with NASCAR and that kind of stuff. And I'm not for that either. I don't think I could deal with that. So I enjoy sprint car racing, and that's where I want to be.
How old, Jacob? How old are you, Jacob?
I'm 22. We're 23 in July.
Hey,
Are the tires similar to last year, or are they different compounds, or with the neutral? We don't hear much about tires like we used to.
Well, you're only allowed to run the same tires that we've ran the last about 3 years. They did have a different tire last year and the year before that to kind of give you an option. And they'd start off running them at the beginning of the year, and people always got away from them. So this year you only have one option. Yeah, I mean you have a harder compound option than what you do the softest one. But usually everybody runs an H15, which is the softest compound you're allowed to run.
Let's talk about when you made the transition from racing around here and going to the Outlaws. Was it something that you prepped for from day one, or did you just sit around a table and be like, let's go on the Outlaws? How did that build up to where you're at now?
Well, Dad, like, he races for a living, so even when, 358 stuff was started, like, that's to live. And, at the time, like, Logan's doing good racing, and, like, I came along, and it's just what it was. And then he looks at it like, well, I ain't gonna be able to live, doing it like this. So he's like, he says, hey, we better go on the Outlaw Tour. And, he knew that's where we wanted to be with our racing career eventually. So that's what we had to do. And, we might not have been ready for it, but I don't think anybody's really ready for it when you're in those circumstances. And, Dad put the team together, and we went out there with what we had, and that's how we started. They might have laughed at us a little bit when we first came out there, but that's not the case anymore. And we've grown like a ton, and it's been a great experience, and very appreciative and thankful that my dad did that for us.
I think that's why we have, I always enjoy coming back to Pennsylvania, mainly for the fans and for the tracks. But when we first took off and said we were going to go run the Outlaws, I remember the day I was at the garage working on the car, and grandfather came back from running errands. He'll be going all day running errands and just pull back in the shop and tell you about how his day went. And I remember working on the car one day, and he just pulled in and, hey, we're going to run the Outlaws next year. And it's like, are you kidding with me, or are we actually going to do that? So Jacob being 18, I was kind of like, well, I know what our budget is. I know how much money we have. We had 3 motors at the time, and when he said this, I think we had 1 motor in each car, and then half of one sitting at Michael's shop. So when he said we were going to run the Outlaws, my first kind of reaction was, how are we going to do that? And do we get a big sponsor that you're not telling me about, or you got some big news? But that's just how my grandfather is. It's just up and go. And now, even that first year was pretty scary, because now that I look back and think about it, even now with our trailer and we have the motors that we have and the cars, we left to go out to Las Vegas with our toter home that we have now, that old trailer that my grandpa built back in 1985, and 2 motors, 1 in each car, and we did end up having 1 spare. So when we got out to, and actually the first night at Las Vegas, I crashed and destroyed the car, and we had a bare frame that we had to build the next day for a race in Arizona. And even when I crashed that night, it was, all right, well, we're going home. And we've had those experiences the last couple of years, but even though they've got better, I think the second year, the sides of the trailer were coming down and rubbing against the wheels, and that was a scary moment. That was, I mean, if you don't have a rig to run around, you're not going to be racing, so we felt like we were going home then. The first year, in the middle of the year, we've overcome that, but the radiator went out in the truck. We missed the first night at Peevely for the Ironman, and that was the only race we missed all that year, so that was kind of disappointing. But the third year, what happened in the third year? The transmission blew out in the truck last year. So we ought to have a brand new truck this year. We got transmission, motor, we should be rolling good. But last year, transmission blew out, and those moments always, they're scary. You feel like, well, we're going to have to go home this time, or and sit there and think about it. What are we going to do? Or I got to go back home, get another job, or what are we going to do? But it's you always feel like somebody's going to come, somebody's going to help you. And last year with LH Trailers, they came and picked us up when the transmission went out. And then this year with the GoFundMe, and that's sitting there, and this was probably the worst one when we were on the way to Volusia this year. With the transmission last year, I'd say within 3-4 hours somebody called and they said, LH Trailer said, hey, we'll come get you. This year on the way to Florida, the truck blew up, and it's we pull over on the side of the road and start making phone calls, and we left on Wednesday, so it was probably around 8, 9 o'clock on Wednesday night, and we're supposed to race on Friday, and it wasn't till I'd say Thursday night that Ryan Smith and his family said that we could use their toter home, and we're still using it to come get us. And the longer you sit there, and you always feel like, especially with the stuff we've overcome the last couple of years, that somebody's going to come, somebody's going to help you, and we're going to get through it. It's that attitude that my grandfather has. And I'd say when the truck blew up and he sat there and he goes, all right, we're done. That's if you know my grandfather, that's something he never says. And like we said, he's always had a go-get-it attitude, and we're going to overcome it. We're going to beat the best of the best. And so when he says, all right, that's it, we're done, it's a pretty bad feeling, and you feel like you're pretty helpless. But with Ryan Smith, the GoFundMe thing, and it's just it's a humbling feeling to have that help from so many people. Mainly it was in Pennsylvania, but all over the country, the people that helped us out to keep us going, and we get to continue doing what we love. So it's a pretty awesome feeling.
I know I was told from people that work for the Outlaws that 2, 3 o'clock in the morning they'd close up shop, the lights would go off on the racetrack, and you guys would still be there, the doors are open, you're still working on the cars, you got 800 miles to go, and they'd say, they ain't never going to be there tomorrow night. These guys were.
That's probably the coolest thing of, like I said, why, I got asked last year on the Wing Nation, what, are you outlaw or posse? And I always enjoy coming home, and I'd say when we first said we were going to go do the Outlaws, people from Pennsylvania and our fans back here, friends, family, and everybody, they were kind of like, good luck, go do what you love, and we wish you the best of luck. And when we got out on the road, majority of the people out there were kind of, what are you doing out here, or why are you here? So that's why I enjoy coming back here, and I enjoy the Pennsylvania fans, and I like Pennsylvania itself. I like the racetracks, but I enjoy coming back to Pennsylvania for that reason.
Dave?
I don't have a question. I was a Bobby Allen fan all my life. I just think it's so cool that you're doing it the same way he did it, because, you know, you always heard a lot of Bobby Allen stories out there, so you're learning it the right way, and, you know, I just think that's real cool for both of you.
It is pretty cool, and he's always been that way. And to look at those other teams and you know, see what all they have. You know, 4 guys working on a car, the nicest things you can buy. You know, the biggest motors, the best trucks and trailers, and especially nights like Friday night when you can roll it back to the trailer and you look around and you see if you know, we're packing 2 cars in a trailer and putting all our tires away and all that stuff, and you look at some of those other teams and you know what they're spending and you beat them. That's an awesome feeling, and it's pretty cool.
No question?
Sort of like he said, I remember watching your grandpa since I was, you know, pretty young, going to races and stuff, and I remember nights he'd pull into the track with like 2 tail tanks welded together to make an earth bar, and people were going, you know, this car ought to be on the junk heap, and he'd put on a driving clinic, you know. He did whatever he had to do to get there and do it. And I think that was one of the things that people liked about him, and is absolutely carrying on to you guys.
Yeah. Well, don't worry, I think it still gets us an argument. We don't argue very much, but I'd say every once in a while when Jacob and I are trying to do something, work on the car or something, it's, well, back in my day we did it this way, or, you know, back when I raced, those guys would stay up all night long and get the car together. It's like, well, it's not back in your day, so.
On the average, when you're out on the road, on the average, how much sleep a night you get?
I'd say Jacob and I get a good bit. My grandfather's, he's got a thing, he doesn't let anybody else drive the truck, and every once in a while, if we're on like yesterday, it was a 10-hour trip from Hopstock to home, and he got to about Pittsburgh and said, all right, I'm tired, and I think I drove the rest of the way, but he likes to drive the truck. I don't know why he doesn't let anybody else drive, but that's his thing, and I don't know about you guys, but if I'm driving down the road and I gotta sit there, I fall asleep, so I say we get plenty of sleep.
No other questions? Whoop, back here.
Is there some advantage to having the 2 cars, or?
Double the money for our team. That's an advantage for sure.
Yeah, when you can have 2 cars out of 1 trailer, you're limiting your expenses with travel, and like we talked about earlier, having the, you know, 2 cars on the racetrack, you can kind of bounce ideas off each other, but we save a lot of money, you know, having both cars out of 1 trailer, and you know, if something happens to one of his motors, you can use one of mine, and just working together. If you get, you know, we get double the amount of tow money. We get, you know, tow money for each race car, even though it's out of the same trailer. And then you get the pit passes. Just, you get all the benefits of having 2 separate teams, but you have it in 1 trailer, so you're limiting all your expenses.
What would you be doing if you weren't racing a race car?
I got asked, you know, what I'm going to do in school with 3rd and 4th grade. What are you going to be when you grow up? And I always thought if you have a plan B, then you're not trying hard enough, because that means you're okay with quitting and you're okay with losing. And one thing that my family and obviously my grandfather's taught me is to not give up. So like I said, if I ever had those thoughts come across my mind, it lasted about 5 seconds, and I thought about what if I'd be happy with myself at 60 years old, not racing, and what I would be doing, and I wouldn't be. So race car driver is all I've ever wanted to be, and that's all I plan on doing.
When you're done driving, what would you like to do? When your racing career is over, both of you, what would you like to do when you're done?
I enjoy setting them up. I think you know, somebody like, I look up to guys like Ricky Warner, Davey Brown. My grandfather is you know, good with I think a lot of young drivers our age that, and it's a big advantage for Jacob and I, is that though they got rich parents and they say, hey, you know, teach my kid how to drive or let my kid drive this car, and they win races, but I'm not going to name names, but if they lost their crew chief or they lost that ride, they would look like a completely different driver because they would have no clue what they're doing. So I enjoy setting them up, and I'm glad that's something, you know, at the time when I came in and my grandfather said, you know, I don't know, and walked away, I wasn't very happy about it then, but now I'm glad he did it, and I could see being a crew chief or, you know, somewhere in the racing world doing something with race cars or finding something like that.
About you?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be wrenching on the cars. I mean, I like working on the cars for sure, but it's going to be a long time till those days come. And we're definitely putting our time into it. And, you know, if it's 30 years, 40 years down the road, and that's when it's time to be done driving. And I don't know, I think I'd like to go off and hang out on the beach with my wife and my kids and eat good food and do some fishing or something. I don't know, that sounds pretty good. But I would definitely still go to the races. I love racing and all that. I mean, racing's it. I mean, I wouldn't pick anything else to do besides racing with Logan and my dad. I mean, I got it pretty much made, you know, with the Outlaws and being with Logan and my dad. But afterwards, yeah, I could see myself hanging out on the beach or something.
No other questions? All right, well, next time you guys decide to play beer pong with Grandpa,
All right,
you pull these out and say, okay, we're going to play beer pong, okay?
All right, Brian.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
I know
Yeah,
you
thanks
have
for having me.